Good evening, Nick. It's Wednesday, October 8th, and yeah, you're probably right. I'm a dead man. I mean, let's face it, nothing kind of reminds you that you're a dead man quite as much as getting a letter in the mail that's a recall for the ignition switch on your car that states that it is a grave safety concern. So yeah, I kind of feel like, death's a pretty appropriate topic right now. So I really enjoyed your video. I thought, kind of did a nice encompassing view of, death, why we think about it, why we don't always think about it, what different religions, philosophies think about it. And I thought that was really interesting, and I'm glad that you asked what my opinion was. So, Nick, I could always go with the good old Fight Club, on a long enough timeline, we're all dead. I could go with the Avatar, The Last Airbender, death is an illusion, and so are pants. I could also go with, red versus blue, why, oh why is Griff not dead, which is what, you calling me a dead man kind of reminded me of. But Nick, like so many other things in life, that overly simplistic kind of view of things has never quite satisfied me, and it's never really seemed like the appropriate answer. But fortunately for you, or maybe unfortunately, I'm not really sure, depends on your outlook on life, I've actually thought quite a lot about this, and I actually have an answer. Whether it's a good answer or a bad answer, I'm not really sure, but I trust that you'll decide. So, Nick, I don't believe that humans truly die, and there are at least three reasons, at least that I can think of off the top of my head, and I will share with you what they are. Number one, the Ship of Theseus paradox. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but it's a paradox that comes from the late 1st century that asks, if you replace all the pieces of a ship, is it still the same ship, or is it a different ship? And Nick, thanks to science, I know that all the cells that in your mind and everybody else's body are not necessarily the same ones that they're born with, and so are we really us the whole time? Are we constantly becoming something different? It's really hard to have a concept of whether you're alive, dead, what death truly is, if you're not really technically the same you that you were a few years ago. So in that kind of sense, we're kind of reborn infinitely within our own lives in a certain kind of way. Reason number two comes to us from Doctor Who. We're not really the same people when it comes to how our minds work either. So Nick and Doctor Who, as you know, every time the Doctor is reborn, he gets a new face, he gets a new personality, but we all still have the same memories, but that's kind of how we are in life, Nick. Like, my face doesn't look the same as it did when I was 5, and yeah, I have memories from when I was 5, but I don't think the same, I don't have the same personality. So really, am I the same person as I was as 5-year-old me? Probably not, but I'm still the same body, so am I the same? Am I different? It's really weird and really complex. So, in some ways, 5-year-old me has died, but, in his place, now you got however old I am right now, me existing. Yeah, I drew a blank on my age, bite me. Reason number three is we're never really gone. So Nick, is the Lion King and Full Metal Alchemist taught us, whenever we die, we kind of decompose, and like the components of our body become like the grass and the food for other things, and like our molecules are constantly being reborn into other animals, into other plants, into other bacteria, and so while they're not in the same form, they still continue on. Additionally, our thoughts and ideas always kind of live on through, the 6 degrees of separation, that we're constantly, influencing other people. And so our ideas are constantly reborn through other people and influence other people. And so we're not really dead in kind of a metaphysical sense either. So Nick, I'm not really sure whether there's a hard afterlife or what really goes on after we die, but I know that we're constantly dying and being reborn within our own very lives. Death is kind of a really finite endpoint, and it's hard to imagine what happens after that, but we have to remember that we're constantly being reborn and dying every single day. Kinda out of time, but I'll see you on Friday.